All right, who's excited to be at training? I'm so excited for y'all to be here tonight. We've got some awesome guest speakers that came all the way from Huntsville just to share their hearts with us. And I've gotten the chance to get to know Ron and Dana Grimes, those are our guest speakers that are here tonight, just really in the course of the last couple months.
Yeah.
We met them when we went up for a training. What month was that?
Like November, last November.
Yeah.
Draper with Randy and
And got the opportunity to meet them, and I just really love them. I mean, honestly, I feel like they're just such great, like premier mentors and spiritual mentors, even for me and Dave. And so it's just such an honor for y'all to be here.
Happy to be here.
So, well, I'm gonna open us in prayer, and we're gonna do things slightly different. We normally start with recognition, but I'm gonna kind of put it a little bit in the middle, so we can get you up and like dancing and stretching, you know, so you don't sit for 2 hours. So I'm going to pray, and then we'll get started with some training. So, Heavenly Father, God, I just thank you so much for this night. I thank you for these precious girls that have made their way here. Lord, thank you for getting them here safely, and I just pray for any other girls that are on their way, God, that you would just bless their travels, Lord. Bless their families as they're at home. Bless the sweet husbands that are at home taking care of their kids, parenting, not babysitting. Lord, and we are just so thankful for all that you do for us, God, and we pray that your name would be glorified tonight, God, that you would speak through Ron and Dana and just allow these, the women that are here, allow their hearts and their ears and their eyes to be open, Lord, to receive all that you have to tell us tonight. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, well, we're gonna kick off tonight. We're gonna hear from Ron Grimes. And I'm sure he might tell you a little bit about himself once he gets up here. But he's been in Premier for 7 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they've been married for 7 years, so he's...
We date. We've been married for 6.
6,
Yeah.
okay. I don't want to over...
But October 12th, an important date for a
That's
mother.
right, for somebody having a baby.
Yeah.
Natalie, wherever she... Yep, that's right. So, anyways, without further ado, y'all give a big round of applause for I gotta get my notepad so I can take notes.
I have my notes because I'm the business guy, so I'm going to share. I feel bad about standing over the top of you. I really need to be just sitting down.
You want a chair?
Sure, I'd love to do that.
Here.
I feel like I'm just like laying over everybody. Thank you.
Your head is almost touching the ceiling.
All right. Much better. Much better. So, I'm very informal, so if you have questions or whatever, but I'm going to share a little bit with you. Just briefly, I got in this through marriage. We're an eHarmony couple, so that's another whole story, how God brought us together and things like that. But I knew direct sales before Dan I met. I was in Amway in college. I needed money. This was in the 70s, how far back I go. And had no intention of making a career, just needed the money. And then I did another direct sale in Melaleuca. I did another one when the phone company went out through a Texas company and that. So I knew a little bit about direct sales and things like that. So I pretty much understand this business. I've been to all the rallies, trips, trainings. I've held shows myself. So guys, you can do it. All you have to do is get the wife to just put it out on display. You pull it out and say, there it is. That's all you got to do. Pretty simple. So I've done that. I've sponsored individuals, things like that as well. One thing I did want to share with you, and I just always encourage everybody, look at this as a second revenue stream. So if you're already working, or your husband's working, or someone else working, everybody needs another avenue of revenue in this day and time. So I try to encourage people to look at it as a revenue, second stream of revenue as well. But I want to just give you some facts, I guess. So I'm going to make sure that I don't misquote anything in here, but just to kind of encourage you how important this business is. Direct sales worldwide. Anybody have a guess how much money direct sales generates globally? Not Premier, but globally in direct sales. Anybody want to take a guess at that? I'll say it's over $1 billion. How's that? It's almost $170 billion industry. $166 billion in direct sales. So that's a pretty significant number. And I'm assuming, and I'm just making an assumption, that most of you got into the business for the extra income, or for the income, and that's why you're in this. Okay. I know you're peeking around the corner back there, so I'm going to try to make eye contact. I find that pretty incredible that it's 170. My dad was in retail for 50 years. And so I kind of understand that aspect of it. But the direct sales industry says in the world today, we looked up some new figures, there are 58 million people in the world, but 19 million in the United States. That's a little over 25%, about 27%. So 19 million in direct sales, but there's almost how many people in the United States? There's 400 million. So when you hear the comment, we're saturated, you're not even close. I still to this day will mention Premier to people that have never even heard of it. I had never heard of Premier Design. Didn't have a clue what it was. So first of all, you are in a perfect opportunity today. You don't have to be in 29 years ago like Dana, or 4 years ago. Is that right? 4 years ago like Dave and Danielle. But today is the perfect day for you to be in. So I encourage you with that, first of all. 76% of direct sellers have been in 1+ year. All right. 74% of U.S. adults buy from direct sales. So you have to remember that. When people make purchases, 74% of the American population buy from direct sellers. So again, there's always that kind of fear. I don't want to ask my friends, I don't want to ask my neighbors, I don't want to ask my dentist, I don't want to ask my doctor. But they all buy from direct sellers. So be encouraged by them on their growth. 76% are women and 24% are men. So who's your target market? Women. And you can respond back. It's okay. It's women. In 2012, $32 billion in direct sales. It was a 6% increase over 2011. And with that, let me just share this with you, which I've learned from Dana and through others, that jewelry always increases in sales in a recession period. Does anybody know why? Why do you think? Did you not spend $25 or $30 on yourself to feel good? So, and I learned this on the men's side of the market. I had a friend that was in the fishing business. He had a factory, and I said, how did you get in that? And it was a time back when we had the other recession and things were finally because men would spend $20 to $25 on themselves when they're out of a job or with depressed, or to go fishing. And more sales just increased. So that's why I got into the business. So you're in a pretty much a recession-proof market on the jewelry side. So it's a great industry to be in. Direct sales accounts for only 1% of all retail sales in the United States. Think about that. So,
wow.
You know, we got 99% growth in there, and that's kind of how I look at that. You also have to remember we're not competing with Mary Kay or Argonne or Tupperware or anybody else on that. Can anybody, I know Danny can answer, and you probably, do you know why we're not competing? What makes Premier different than the Argonnes or the Mary Kays or the Tupperware? Let's just say Mary Kay and the Tupperware or John Blank, what's the scanning product or something?
Because it's a want instead of a need.
It's a want. It's a want. It's not changing someone's lifestyle. Do you like the jewelry, just like you said? Do you like it or you don't like it? And that's why, man, I can sell it. Because I don't have to go to a show and convince anyone to change to a hair product or to a cosmetic or to anything else. All I have to do is say, either you like what I have or you don't like what I have.
Yeah.
And that's how simple you have to keep the business. It is that simple. The income potential is certainly significant. I think it's just a great number for you to remember. 47% of the 19 million people in direct sales make less than $500 a year. Have any of you made $500 in one night? Anybody in here made $500 in one night?
Yes.
That's pretty significant. Next factor, remember, 62% make less than $1,000. 62% of everybody in direct sales makes less than $1,000. Has anybody in this room already made $1,000 for the year or in 12 months? If you haven't, it's simple, you can do it. All right. Third thing is 80% of everybody in direct sales in the United States makes less than $2,500. The average jeweler premier that works the business makes $400. The average jeweler. Premier did over $500 million in sales. The jeweler's doing an average of 1.2 shows. Now, I hate to say 1.2, but just say less than 2 shows. Now think about that. That's pretty significant. The company did $500 million with less than 2 shows per jeweler. So there is room for growth. And I'm here to encourage you and say you are in a business that you have the absolute perfect opportunity. If I was looking for a business, I jumped in Premier personally. When I was in college and known about Premier, I probably would have been. I'm going that way because that's the quickest way to the money. And I know Premier offers a lot of other things. It offers camaraderie and friendship and training and personal development and spiritual growth and all the good things. So I've just been asked to share with you a little bit from the potential income side of the house. If you are in an absolute, nothing's foolproof, but you're in a pretty foolproof market. And I would dare say that I could take the jewelry tray out right now and just say, Ron, go sell it, you can keep the money. I could go sell every piece you gave me. Even if I just had to walk into a convenience store, I could find somebody that would like it and would buy it. And that's how simple it is. So I encourage you, don't make the business harder than it is. It's a pretty simple business. It's a proven track record. Dana's going to share with you the 29 years that don't change the plan. The plan has worked for 30 years. It does work. Don't recreate it. Work what's tried and true and tested, and you're going to have a very successful business on that. So again, Premier does work. It is a product that we need. What keeps Premier working is that you've got quality jewelry and you've got a great hostess plan. When I share the business with people, I just kind of drum up leads and things for Dana. One of the things I always say is you can get 30% free jewelry if everything's sold. And that stops most every woman in their tracks when I say, I'm thinking, what? I said, you're going to get 30% free. And I said, no, we're not going to pick it out for you. You get to choose out of these 700 pieces. You get to pick whatever you want. But there's more. You know, the old commercial, but wait, there's more. And then I talk about the certificates or the gift card, you know, what you can get on top of that one. So those are things that you need to use to help you grow your business on that. A couple other statistics. Anybody know how many jewelers are in Premier currently? I'm going to help you out. Okay, close. A little over 31,000 jewelers. All right. So think about it. 400 million people in the United States. There's only 31,000 Premier jewelers. Half of the jewelers really work. That means 15,000 jewelers generated $500 million. I hope you grasp that. That potential is significant. So what I shared with you is the only way you cannot succeed in this business is by not showing the jewelry. And I mean that very sincerely. You can be successful if you just have the courage, because fear is what overtakes everybody. It's that fear of rejection, the fear of me saying no, whatever. You got to overcome that. Just always got to remember, there's 400 million people that I can have. I shared this with Dana one day, and some other jewelers flying quite a bit. When you fly over the top of the city, and I look down, I see all the thousands of houses. I'm always thinking, that's a possibility. That's another jeweler, that's another show, that's another soul run, it's whatever I want it to be. The other thing you got to realize is when people say, oh, it's saturated, you can hear all these things. How many pharmacies are on a corner? You got Rite Aid, and you got CVS, and you got Walgreens, and they're all in the same corner, yet they're all surviving, they're all doing well. So again, you've got to keep things in the proper perspective and not let the enemy discourage you. And that's what I see. And I consider myself an outside pair of eyes. I've only been around this industry for the last 7 years, so I look at it very different. And I look at it from a man's perspective. You look at it one way, and I look at it a different way. But don't let the fear of the enemy control you. And that's anything in life. And you just got to just put a stop to it and say, I'm an overcomer. I've got 400 million people that are going to help me this week. Because the Lord truly wants to bless you. You've got to understand that. The Lord wants you to be prosperous on that. In Premier Designs, let me show you, 20% of other direct sales companies, people quit within the first year, 8 out of 10 leave their company. We have a retention rate approximately 27%, which is pretty high in the industry on that. So again, if you sponsor someone and they leave, don't be discouraged. All right, they were in Premier for whatever reason, for the season, for the moment, for the opportunity, whatever it was, and don't let that hold you down. You just move on to the next one. I'll share this very quickly because I think it was Gail Foster shared it. All of you have been to McDonald's, I assume, at one time in your life. And what do they have in the playground in McDonald's? You just the kids like to pile in on top of. I assume they're still there. With plastic balls, all the balls, right?
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, they're gone. But they used to have it. You see how far back I go, but they used to have it. Now, if I told you all this, that there is a gold nugget in those balls. If I told you that gold nugget is in those balls, how many of those balls would you use to find the gold nugget?
All of them.
You do every single one of them. Again, that's how you have to protect the jewelers and coaches and changes on this for one gold nugget. You just keep move them out of the way until you find the one gold nugget. And then you do the rest of them until you find the one gold nugget. And it might be 2 you move, and it might be 500 that you move. But again, when my wife shared with her friends, that's what she's done. She just kept moving balls out of the way all the time, and she'd find a gold nugget. She kept doing that. When people sign up into this business or looking for sales, statistically 3 out of 10 are hobbyists or looking for a little extra money, something to play around. And 2 out of 10 people really see it as a business, either part-time or full-time. You have to remember that. You may have the passion for full-time business, but not everybody. And you in here may not want to see full-time business. And you have to decide that. But again, you got to show the opportunity. It's our job to share the opportunity with everyone out there. Because what if Premier makes a difference to someone's family, either spiritually or financially or in friendship, when you fail to share it with them. So I always try to keep that perspective, share it with everybody, and the Lord will sort it out. You can build a significant business with 2 people. What I have seen over time is don't let individuals that are not working something like that. And I'm just being polite. Because women, you tend to want to help everybody. You want everybody to be successful. You want to spend a lot of time with them. You just can't let go. And so you give them all the tools, you do all the right things for them, but at some point you got to say, I'm going to focus on the ones that want to be successful. I'm always here for you, but don't let them drain you because then you'll become discouraged. Everybody knows the old thing, it's always easier to pull someone down than it is to pull them down. Again, just a reminder, we did $500 million sales, sold over 13 million pieces of jewelry, gave away almost 4 million pieces of jewelry. That's about that. What other company can you imagine gives away 4 million pieces? And your maximum share is how much? What's your maximum jeweler share?
20.
Give you a clue. $20, okay, it's maximum jeweler share. But think about that. We've given away $800, $900 for free jewelry, and our maximum share is $20. And does anybody know why it's $20? Or why we pay? So the IRS can't count it and stuff or things. So Premier protects you by having that small amount of fees that you pay. So if you didn't know that, you need to understand that's why Premier has you pay that jeweler's share. So the IRS cannot tax you on that as well. So it's a protection for you on that one as well. You can really build a nice business with just a couple of jewelers. We kind of use an example if you went into a hard store or a box store, we use kind of Chico's clothing store. You take that, they replace 57% of people in. I'm in the, she'll tell you the story some about the entertainment business, but it's a revolving door in our industry. People work, I mean, it's a constant revolving door. We've had one position, one area of our building probably replace 60 people in 6 months. Not by choice, but for whatever reason, they leave, or they move on, or they don't like it, or they last one day, or whatever the case can be. So again, people come and go, just need to share the plan. Okay. This is something that Randy kind of ingrained in me, Randy Draper. Everybody know Randy or knows the name. Okay. He's like the top dog up here. Okay. They're like the father and mother of Premier. I mean, they got it on the ground level. Elizabeth literally put her children in a wagon and went door to door, asking people would they host a show, and they were millions of dollars in debt on the business. So if you've never heard the Draper story, you need to go online and listen to it. It's an inspiration, chance to tell on how they did the right thing by paying their debt back, not declaring bankruptcy. But anyway, one thing Grace said, that's about the integrity, and I'm just going to throw this in. If you meet someone and you share Premier with them and they don't come in and what have you, that's okay. And then maybe later on another jeweler, you meet that person 3 months later and they start saying, yeah, I know a little about Premier. Ask them, where did you hear about it? And if they say through another jeweler, and it's within a reasonable amount of time, I would encourage you to send them back to that person. It's very easy to say, oh, I got a prospect. The right thing to do is really to send them back with the other jeweler still in business, because God will honor you for doing that. Say, well, are they still in the business? They are. You might want to talk to them about how to do this, but you might want to talk to them. And I find that anything in business, it's just very easy to want to say, oh, I'm going to kind of put that one away, and then nobody will really know about it. But he knows about it. So, but Randy says that's the, so that again, I just want to share this with you, kind of show you the growth. And I'm doing hypothetical. So do it as an encouragement. How many jewelers are in Premier right now? 31,000. One person listening to me. Very good. There might be a prize at the end of the tunnel here. Okay? 31,000. In 2 years, hypothetically, we have 50,000 jewelers. In 10 years, hypothetically, we have 100,000 jewelers. Right? If retention rate stays at 27%, and I hope you follow me, 8,370 of the current 31,000 jewelers will still be in. And it means the remaining 91,630 jewelers will be under those 8,000 jewelers. By you being here today, again, I just want to share with you, you don't have to be in 29 years ago. Today is a good day to start. So as growth continues and the way the attrition occurs, you could potentially have some of these 90,000 people because the business is going to grow. And they're going to continue to make better and better around that time. So just kind of let me know if you don't know. Always paying attention. Okay. Real quickly, Mary Kay, just kind of throw it out. I'm throwing a number here. Over 1 million. Distributors, Tupperware over 1 million. Amway over 3 million. Shackley over 1 million. Arbonne over 1 million. We're at 31,000.
Do you know about 31?
Do I know about it?
Well, I mean, do you know, I mean, like, how many?
I don't know if I looked at 31, how many are on there. But I don't focus on that. I encourage you not to focus because you get distracted by saying, oh, they've got this or they've got that. But again, many of these companies are selling to the end user. They want you to buy the product and stuff. And so I just think we're in a great form. 84% of the 500 million we did last year was sold to customers and not personal consumption. And that's very strong. That is really, really strong. So this business absolutely does work. I encourage you to tag on to this young couple right here that's your leadership because they impress us. I'm just telling you. And my wife's seen a lot of them come and go, but she's impressed, and I think their heart is in the right place on that one as well. Anybody have any questions you'd like to ask? Anything from a guy's perspective? What do I see from the outside in? Anything like that? Or you got it all. You're ready to go from the car. That woke him up. I was like, wait a minute, I need to use the car on that one. So.
Y'all sure don't have any questions for Ron? Ben back there?
He's got it. He already knows.
Yeah.
We've been talking for an hour. So.
Jonathan back there is going to go to rally.
No.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about rally in a minute. So.
So from my perspective and from your perspective, if you're not, and I know he's going to encourage you for rally, but I tell this to everybody, it's a life-changing experience. Yeah. I went when we were dating. She invited me to come out as a guest, and of course people said, you're the first person she's ever asked about other than her dad when I was a guest. And so I could see, one is what I accepted and fit in, but when I saw it, I thought, this is incredible. Because again, my dad was in retail, and this company never talks about sales. These figures I'm giving you now, you'll never hear them say in any rally, in any training that they produce. They talk about leadership, they talk about the Lord, they talk about honoring you, the individuals, because it truly is. It's about people. You're what makes Premier Design. The product is there, and the process is in there. And if you were at our if you were at our event last month, our leadership day, that's what I kind of talked about. You got to have good people, you got to have good product, you got to have good process. And Premier Design has all three of those in there for you. And you're the people, you're really what drives the company. And without you, there is no Premier Designs. And that's why Andy and everyone really don't want to go to the internet. And I absolutely understand that because they can sell on the internet and they can sell millions of dollars when they don't need us. And the whole vision that the Lord, part of the day at the kitchen table was to serve people, to honor God and to serve people. And the only way you can serve people is face to face and not electronically over the internet. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Wasn't that good? Yes, very good. Mom was just so tall, yeah, you're fine.
Sure.
Okay, well, I want everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up. So, you say please back there. Okay. All right. And we need to like be excited. So like, let's cheer. Keep standing if you love jewelry. Keep standing if you did one jewelry show last month. You showed the jewelry one time last month. Awesome. Keep standing if you showed the jewelry twice last month. Woo! Way to go, girls. How about if you did 3 jewelry shows last month? Yeah! Guys, how about if you did 4? Okay, how many shows did you work? 5 shows? How many shows did you guys do? How many shows did you do? Oh, you are! Yay! Way to go! Awesome! Proud of you! Way to go! You had 3. Good job! Good job. Okay, I'm giving extra tickets to people who do. So way to go, Brooke, for doing 5 shows. Good job. I'm proud of you. Okay. Oh, Shannon, I always miss you, girl. How many shows? You did 5?
You don't have to scream.
I feel like I have to. The technology.
This is
Way to go,
This is interweb. It's crazy.
Okay. All right. Stand up if your total retail. So all of those shows. What, babe? What'd you say? Oh, you're good. Okay. Stand up if all of those shows that you did last month, if they totaled, hey, I'm so glad to see you. If they totaled $500 or more, all of your shows all together total $500 or more. Wow. Okay. Brooke, what was your total retail?
2,500.
That's still really good. Way to go, girl. Okay, awesome. Alright, I got some extra tickets for you. Okay. Woohoo! Shannon, how was your total retail? 3,100. Way to go, Shannon. I'm so proud of you. Okay. Stand up if you sponsored somebody last month. Anybody sponsor somebody last month? Yeah. And real quick, will you just introduce your new jeweler? Yeah, jewelers. Yes. This is Amanda. Amanda, stand up for us. Amanda Fields. She has her training show tomorrow night, so we're so excited.
Awesome.
Amanda, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm a physical therapist. I am working part-time. I'm looking for full-time because I'm 6-month-old. Just started.
You just started a new full-time job right here. Here, design story. Way to go.
This is hopefully going to prevent me from having to go 100% full-time work because I don't want to miss those first years of that. Well, I'll tell you, I signed up when Tori, our oldest daughter, was, and she was 6 months old when I started for beer. So look, 4 years down the road, here's where we are. So there's your vision, girl. Tell us.
This is Miss B. Melton.
Hey, Miss B.
She just had her training show 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays. Yes.
Very good.
So glad that y'all are here. Well, I'm just thrilled to have y'all here tonight, and I know that Ron mentioned a little bit about Rally, and so last night I was like, Dave, we got to do something really exciting to pump everybody up about Rally. Can you make me a video? And he had to go to work at 11 p.m. last night. He was like, I don't sleep at all. So he did. He made us an awesome Rally video, so we're going to show that to you to pump y'all up, and then we're going to give y'all a couple Rally details, and then we're going to put everything.
Are you ready?
Y'all ready?
Yes.
Yeah, way to go, girl. Let's clap out. These pictures
right now, we over here in Michigan want to challenge you to be there with us as we are going to make that place rock and roll. There's so many exciting things happening and you don't want to miss out. I will tell you what, not only will you be the jewelry diva, but you will walk away with all the tools you need to be successful in your premier journey. And guess what? If you don't show up, we over here in Michigan are going to make sure that you know that you were missed, because you'll hear us screaming all the way from Dallas, Texas. So I want to see you at Rally with me this year. Woo!
Who's excited about Rally? I just wanted to give you a picture because majority of you sitting in this room have not been to Rally. You have no idea what we're talking about when we say that it's so important that you go and that you really get the heart of Premier, and that the money that you invest to go to Rally actually will give you more profit when you get home. And you don't quite understand that until you've been there. So I just kind of wanted to give you as much as I could so that you could see kind of what it's all about. It's kind of like a Beth Moore conference / The Price is Right / the Red Carpet event is what somebody actually said at Dana's training last week. And she was just spot on, because that is what it is like. And you're just going to come away so much more excited about Premier. Even if, I don't care if you've been in Premier for 2 months. That is no excuse for you to not go. I don't care if you just signed up last week. There's really no excuse for you not to go. Because your business will be so much more successful having been than having not been. We can't tell you about it when we get back. We'll try, but it'll be difficult unless you just go. So we really, really encourage you to be there. And I'd ask Michelle to just share a little bit. So just bring that sweet little baby up here. Okay. Tell us about Rally.
Yeah, he's 2.5 weeks old. I went to Rally last year and I came away so blessed. And I mean, just to mimic everything she said, everything is so true. You'll walk away more blessed than, I don't know, I mean, it's just crazy. But last year I went because Danielle just kept saying, you just need to go, you just will not know until you just go. Really how great it is. And I went, and it really is like, more than anything, I feel like I was spiritually refreshed. And I tell people, I'm like, you don't understand, like, it's not just a business conference. Like, it's not like what you think, it was more, to me, it was more of like a kind of like a revival. I mean, it's hard to explain that to people when you're like, it really wasn't about the jewelry, it really wasn't about money, it was just really about the Lord and about, bringing Christ into the homes, and that's what we're all about, and sharing the joy of Christ. And so I just feel like I came home going, man, why am I not sharing more? And so I seriously, on my way home from Rally, like, wrote a list of all the people that I had not shared Premier with, because I just felt a conviction, like, these people need to know about Premier, whether they decide to do it or not. They just need to know about this opportunity. Just like, I feel like our responsibility as Christians is to go out and share. It's not our job to make that decision for them. Of course, it's the Holy Spirit. And so it's your job to share. And then, God will do whatever He wants with them. And so I just feel like that was such a huge weight on me. And so when I came home, I had a party actually just a couple days after Rally. And I sponsored from that party because I was just so fired up. And so every time I, get discouraged or whatever, I start to think about those days when I was just so on fire and excited, just because I really feel like that was when I first got it. First understood what Premier was all about, and that it wasn't just a jewelry company, and it's not just about making tons and tons of money and winning cars and all these things, but it's about sharing the love of Christ and then God just blessing you through that. And so I do encourage all of you to go if you can. I'm bringing Ezra with me to Rally. My sister's going to come and help watch him while Buster and I are in the Rally. And so I'm excited for him to get to see, because you really can't explain it to somebody unless they've been there. You can try all day, just like when you go on a mission trip. You just can't explain it. So I do encourage you all, if you can and if you can afford it. And I know it sounds like I don't want to be spending money, I need to be making money. but it really will come back 100-fold. Like you go, you spend that money on Rally, but then you come back and you're gonna just profit, like Danielle said, more than you would ever think. So I do encourage y'all to
Okay,
good.
Okay, well, we are going to hear from Dana. And, you're moving the TV right now?
David needs some help.
more room than Rhonda?
While he moves the TV. Yes, we did. We moved Michelle's TV from upstairs so we can show y'all that very cool video that I made last night. All right, well, we're going to hear from just an amazing leader tonight. Dana, like Ron said, I think it's been 28, almost 29, 28. Yeah. She's trying to make her older than she really is, Ron, back then. And, but she is such a wise woman. Like I was saying earlier, I just really enjoy getting to know her. And I did get her this little gift today. I'm going to show all of y'all because I really wanted to keep it. But
So cute.
okay, so I got Dana. I had my girls go and help me, so they picked out this cute little bag for you.
I love it.
My girls did. And then I know you live in the South too, because you're in Huntsville, but I just
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
all things I always pick out things I would like to keep, you know. And then got you some little cards.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. So thanks for agreeing to come.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So we're gonna give them a great guys. So y'all get your notes out. I hope you can write fast. Because I know she has such great knowledge to share with us. So y'all welcome. Thank you.
Well, I can't reiterate what Michelle said any more than I'm telling you, just do a couple of shows and pay for that rally experience because, you know, you're self-employed and you've got to get that motivation, that encouragement from somewhere. And I'm going to talk about this, but that's where you're really going to get your believability about who the company is because you get to see so many aspects of it. And, you know, you're going to see the heart of the company, and that's going to keep you going when you feel like quitting. You know, and so you really need it. I tell you, when I first started, we had 4 rallies a year. And so I lived in South Florida, and I had to go to Texas or to Atlanta. That was even the only training we had. And so we were starving for it. And so I'm so thankful and so appreciative of Dave and Danielle, Michelle and her husband opening up their home and doing the training locally here for you on a monthly basis because it's really important that y'all get together and you encourage one another and that you show up even if you feel like your business is not where you want it to be. It can get there, but you've got to encourage one another, and you have great role models here who've done well. So, and I want to encourage you too. You know what? There are 1.2 million people in the Birmingham area, and I don't know how many actually jewelers there are in the area, but typically the population can handle 1 per 1,000. And so I know there are not 1,200 jewelers here, but you've got that room for growth. And again, like Ron said, only half are typically working because we don't have the quota. And so you could really handle more than 2,400 jewelers in this area. So y'all got lots of room to grow, and you've got a great foundation to work with and great resources here. So I'm encouraged about you being down here because you know what? What you do reflects on me, and what I do reflects on you, and it's important that we all do well, and we want you all to do well. We want you to meet your expectations and meet your goals for your family, but also for you personally, and I'm going to talk about that. Well, 28 years ago, when I started Premier, and I was sharing with Holly, I had just finished graduate school. I have a master's in marriage and family counseling, and could not find the job that I wanted because we moved from Texas to Florida and wasn't, and I heard about Premier, and I'm going to tell you, Premier was hope to me. I didn't know what hope it was going to really look like in the future, but it was hope. Listen to this. Hope is a choice. It's not a feeling. It's certain, and it's a decision that allows us to be steady and sure. It anchors us to something greater than ourselves and has great influence over how you feel when things get difficult. And I'm going to tell you, Premier is that hope because it it does a number of things for you. I know a lot of you get in for one reason, and then it may totally develop into something new in a couple of years from now, because you're never going to know. You don't know now what, you know, what's going to happen in the future. And like Ron said, you need that second avenue of income, that stream, the avenue stream. But you don't know what's going to happen personally in your life. I mean, you know, God forbid something happens to your spouse or to a family member, and Premier is going to be the thing that moves in there and is able to meet those needs. So, you know, and Premier is such a place of hope because it can meet all those needs that you have. I moved 5 times, so I've had to start my business over, and that's great because I was able to spread my business out. Holly was saying too that she has her family's from Fort Lauderdale, and I said, well, because I started Premier 28 years ago and I moved 3 years, I only lived in Florida 3 years, I still have a huge downline in Florida, in different parts of Florida. So I'm so thankful for that. I've worked this business married. I've worked it as a single mom, and then Ron and I, as you said, as he shared with you earlier, we remarried and met through eHarmony. I've worked through a lot of hardships, you know, but Premier was such a source of encouragement for me. And the friendships and the people that you meet in your upline, in your downline, in your sideline, people that you're going to see on stage at rally, you're going to be able to tap into those resources, and, you know, they're going to be sources of encouragement for you, and they were for me. You know, a lot of hardships that I had became my reason to do Premier, not the reason not to do Premier. And so you have to keep that reason in front of you and not use situations in life to be your excuse not to work the business. Now, I'm so encouraged by you, Amanda, that you're looking that this is going to be what the thing is going to keep you from putting your child in daycare, you know, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, so that you don't have to miss that. And that's one of the reasons why Premier was started, y'all. I mean, to help moms stay at home, you know, if you've read, and if you haven't, but if you've read Andy's story, you know, his mom there were 14 children in the family, and she became a single mom. And she was a scrub lady, and they immigrated from Ireland. You need to read their story because it really gives you that foundation why Premier was started. It gives you that heart. How many of you have read By Chance or By Design? Okay, and you probably need to reread it, you know, so when you get that book. Have you gotten it yet?
Yeah, I got it last week.
Okay. Start reading it. I mean, I remember when they first came out with it, I read it on the plane home from a rally, and it just fed me and fed my encouragement. So anyway, I didn't want to use my hardships to be an excuse not to work Premier, but I'm so thankful that I had my Premier family to be that source of support and encouragement to help me to be successful. And, you know, just so you know, we're not in competition with one another. There's plenty of business out there. You know, I found that if somebody in my area was doing better than I was, it was my reason to work harder. So, you know, when you see somebody else, one of your Premier sisters, doing really well, don't become discouraged that. Be encouraged in that and go, gosh, shoot, if she's doing it, I can do it. You know, use that as your reason for working your business. Well, what has Premier allowed me to do? Well, one, it's allowed me to live a life that very few get to experience. I was pretty much able to provide all the things that my daughter needed. And again, Holly and I, because we've talked a little bit longer than some of the other of us, she wanted to put her son, is it right? Her daughter, yes, in private school. And that was a desire of my heart. And so I was able to keep my daughter in a private education her whole entire career. And she's just finished her first year in college. I was able to give her trips, take her to Disney every year, and plus, I mean, go to the Caribbean, take her to Greece. I was able to do all of that as a single mom. I was able to buy a home, you know, and without any issue because I did Premier. And as a married couple, we've been able to travel extensively and, literally take great vacations around the world because of Premier. That's allowed us to do that. I've also been able to bless others with opportunities. You know, a lot of times if you go to church or you go to something and you hear about a need, somebody has to go, I wish I just had some extra money to give them. I've been able to do that, you know, because Premier has helped me and blessed me financially. You know, if somebody has a need, I can meet it, you know, and it wasn't a hardship for me to be able to do, but that's because of the generosity of Premier. And because I've worked my business steadily all these years. there's 5 decisions that I want to talk about that I made that helped me build a long-term business. And that's one thing that Danielle wanted me to share with you is how you stay in long-term and how you keep it going. Because you can all do this and you can bless thousands of lives. And I just want to tell you, all of you are not alike. You're not like Danielle. You know, you may not be like Amanda. You know, you're not like Natalie. You're all different, but you all have a contribution to make. And there's a reason you've been called into this business, either for a couple of years or for a long time. So, you know, look at the contribution and the giftings that God's given you to go out and give that to other people. You don't have to be like anybody else, and you have something unique. So, the first decision, and one thing that helped me stay long term is having belief. And, you know, I knew this was a great opportunity, and I had to move and operate in what I knew. You know, and I had to trust what other people told me about Premier. And so the reason I say that is it's really important for you to build a good reputation, and it's very important that you're trustworthy and that you keep your word and you deliver when you say you're going to deliver, and also to know when to say you're sorry, you know, to a hostess or a customer or whatever, you know. So, you know, I also realized that there would be resistance. And there was a lot. Oh my goodness. I mean, I moved to West Palm Beach, and everybody there wanted to act like they had money, and the people I ran around with didn't have any money, but they all wanted to act like they had money. It was just, you know, it was just like such a struggle to get started. Plus, Premier was only about a year old, so nobody knew who it was. You know, and I just kept having to look for people who wanted what I had to offer, you know. So I had a lot of resistance, and I was talking to someone earlier, we were talking about sometimes you have to be really careful because sometimes it's your family that's most resistant, and they don't know, or they don't have all the information you have. It's like, it's kind of like trying to translate to Rally. We can only tell you part of it until you experience it. You don't know it, and so you can't make people understand, you know, and believe what you believe. You know, you have to know that you're moving and you're working your business because you know you were called to it, and you trusted these people that brought you into the business. You know, I was given an opportunity, and I was given dreams, and they were my dreams. They weren't anybody else's, and I was responsible for those. So just, you know, don't use resistance as an excuse to quit. It's an opportunity to grow in your faith and your confidence. The second thing was being persistent. You can't quit. We had great training on the cruise. Some of y'all probably heard about the cruise that the designers just had on persistence. You know, motivation is great and it helps, but it's based a lot of times on how we feel. Persistence is not based on how we feel. It's just getting it done, and it's going to get you down the road further. And you know, the key to persistence is just getting started. You know, still procrastinating is the opposite of persistence, obviously. And for those of you that are like, you know, going, oh, I need to make phone calls, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to set up a time that you know what, I'm going to get on the phone from 7 to 9. I'm going to make my customer care calls. I'm going to call all those people that tell me they'd have shows. I'm going to talk to those people who never give me any indication that they were interested in what I was doing or about getting free jewelry. And you've got to have those numbers lined up, and then you just got to be determined to get on the phone and stay on the phone until you get those get those people called. You know, you just got to make yourself do it, but you've got to have a plan. So that's going to persistence will keep you. You know, being persistent and having a plan will help you and stay in the long term. And a lot of times you're never going to feel like doing it. Okay, you're going to, and you've heard this probably before. You got to act your way to a feeling. You don't feel your way to an action. But that never happens. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, if you're going to quit, the only way you need to quit, number one, is the Lord told you need to get out. And the second way is you better quit on top. Okay? So that's the only way you are allowed to quit. All right. Next thing that helped me stay in long term is giving my business time. You know, you may have heard this, but you need to give yourself 4 to 5 years to build. And, you know, but in that short amount of time, you can build an income that might take you 30 years in another field. Literally. And so give your business, you know, that 4 to 5 years. It's kind of like sometimes rolling a snowball up a hill. You know, I mean, it starts out small, and then others start to join you, and then the snowball grows, then it gets heavy, and sometimes you feel like you're the only one exerting the energy, but then you get it up on top of the hill, and then it just rolls down the other side, and it has that momentum. That's the same way with your business. You've got to put the energy behind it and be the one that pushes it up the hill and then gets it to build that momentum. You know, your first year is like being a freshman in high school or college. Just trying to figure out where the bathroom is, right? You know, and not trying to look awkward. I mean, you know, and it is a process of falling forward, and I think you've probably heard that from John Maxwell, but, you know, it's just sometimes you just have to do something wrong to figure out how to get it right. And I know I'll tell you, my training show was $180, and I got no booking. Okay. And everybody I knew that was, you know, had already hit up was there, okay? So I called up Elizabeth Draper and said, all right, what do I do now? You know, and she go, oh no, I didn't call Elizabeth. I called up the vice president of the company. We were very small. So that was like, anyway, I said, what do I do now? She said, go to the bank and hand the teller your catalog and, you know, just tell me what you do. So that's what I did. And, you know, I was dumb enough, I guess, to do it and smart enough to do it, you know, to follow, you know, good, you know, the lesson there, you know, just to do it. And so that's what I did. So when one of your leaders encourages you to go do something, just go do it. Don't rationalize it. Don't rationalize it away. Don't think of doing it a different way. Just do what they said do, because the reason they're telling you that is because it works. And I was so thankful. I went in there, I handed them the catalog, and I said, I'm in the jewelry business. Look through here and see what you like. I'll be back in 2 days. That's all I said. Went back in 2 days. They go, oh, nobody wants to have a show. I didn't even have to have a show. No, they said nobody wants to buy anything. I said, nobody wants anything, but there's a girl here in the back that wants to have a show. That's all I wanted, and it started my whole business in West Palm Beach. So, you know, that kind of stuff works. You just have to be willing to follow through with it. So, anyway, all right. So time, it is going to take some time, and it's like any business or profession. I mean, how many of y'all went to college? And, you know, were you paid? You know, I mean, your degree that you went in, you know, you were studying, whatever you were studying, you know, you didn't start getting paid for that until you got out of school. So, you know, people are willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to go to college and not make anything, you know, and so that's the same way with this. You can start making money now, but you've got to invest some time and training to get it going. And there's a learning curve, just like any other profession. So, and I love this business because this business not only will help you professionally, but it's going to help you personally too. And I think Michelle hit on that. The fourth thing is that this business, and this goes into this, is you've got to be committed to training in order to stay in long term. And I encourage you to seek training out. There's so much great training online that you can watch, videos that the Rockstars have that you can watch. I still, after 28 years, need training. You know, I'm encouraged by it. I need to be reminded of things that I forget, that I'm not doing. You know, sometimes we get lazy and we let one part of our business go. And so I'm encouraged in it. And attend everything that you can. I'm telling you guys, that rally is such a great investment. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to really understand how this business works, you've got to go to rally. You've got to. And missing a year, it's just hard on you. You know, you've got to go. It increases your belief. It's going to give you a big picture, and it's going to help you persist. You're going to get great training tips, but you're also going to learn a lot just by interacting with other jewelers around the dinner table. You know, and people are so helpful. I mean, on the elevator, I mean, on the bus. I mean, you are going to just get so many great ideas and encouragement. I encourage you to read. I'm a big reader. They say, Dave Ramsey says that the average millionaire reads one book a month. 12 books a year, that's not very much. And I'm thinking, hey, if that's what the average millionaire does, then I need to be doing that. And there's lots of great books. But, you know, anything by John Maxwell you can't go wrong with. I just did a study last year with a group of ladies on a conference called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Personal Growth. And I mean, this is kind of a workbook. You really work through it, as you can see. I mean, like I got all these, and there's questions at the end, but I mark up my books. I read, what was that book, sweetheart? Where'd you buy that, 59 Seconds?
59 Seconds, off half.com. I buy all the books used.
Where'd you get it?
Off eBay.
I mean,
It's called
when
half.com.
did you pick it up? He picked up this book anyway. He goes, here's this book. He goes, don't mark in it. But all my books are marked in. So I love having the actual book I can read. Another one is anything by Henry Cloud on boundaries. Now, this is Boundaries for Leaders. But he started up, Cloud Townsend, Dr. Townsend and Dr. Cloud. They have this whole series of boundaries. And they have CDs. If you don't like to read, you know, you can listen to it on tape. But he's got books on boundaries with adult children, boundaries with parents, you know, boundaries for leaders. I mean, he's got every topic that you can imagine. But we've got to learn how to have boundaries in our life. And it's really going to help you as you're developing a business, because you've got to know when to say no, and you've got to know when to say yes. It's interesting for those, I know a lot of you are stay-at-home moms, some of y'all have full-time jobs, but if you go from a full-time job out of the home into doing something like Premier, people think you've just got unlimited time, you know, to volunteer and work. And as women, a lot of times we don't say no to them. We might say yes to a lot of good things, but you're going to have to pick, and you're going to have to say yes only to great things, and you may have to say no to some good things. And so learning about boundaries, if you're not very good at that, this is going to be really good. And what's going to be good about boundaries for you, if you have boundaries in your life, you're going to teach your children the same thing, how they can say no, and they can say yes to good, great things, and say no just to good and average things. So, you know, if you've got it in your life, then it's instilling that into your children. So, anything on boundaries by Cloud Townsend. Any kind of sales books. There's the Little Red Book of Sales, the Little Yellow Book of Attitude. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Jeffrey Gitomer. Got all these little books. They're great because they're just little snippets of information. But I heard this guy. Actually, I think he might have been on Dave Ramsey and Chuck Blackburn. And so I heard about him, and I heard him interviewed. And I thought, I'm going to order that book. I thought, order it. Then I get this phone call. Hello, Dana. This is Chuck Blackburn. You ordered a book. And I was just wondering if I could come by your house and personally autograph it for you. And I'm like going, okay, all right. Were you there that day? I think I made sure Ron was there.
Yeah.
Man, you know.
Because he showed up in his
so
tie.
he came. And I thought he's delightful. But his wife is Marsha Blackburn. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She's a congresswoman in Tennessee, and she makes a lot of noise. She's sharp. She is sharp. And I knew who she was. I mean, like, she's, y'all, if you're for the family, she's for the family. I mean, this lady, she heads up committees. I mean, she's awesome. But anyway, this is her husband. And so, you know, he just says, you know, sometimes we just need to be quiet. We just need to quit trying to sell people and just, you know, let them buy. But anyway, it was, you know, so I pick up books like this, obviously. I've read all three of this too. And he did sign it. And I bought lots more books from him too. I bought lots of books from him, didn't I, sweetheart?
You did?
Yeah, he wouldn't even steal when he was coming by. I signed that for you. So, yeah. So, anyway, so read, you know, listen to training, listen to CDs, use that time in the car, you know, to train yourself, to be encouraged. And you know what? Don't just learn things about the business, but listen to things that are going to grow you spiritually. Attend conferences to develop yourself. Look at things that are out there that you can go to, that you can be encouraged in. Develop yourself personally. And I also encourage you to have a mentor. And then you need to start mentoring others. That's the best way to learn something, is to teach somebody else. So you need to, if you don't have a mentor under you yet, you need to get one quickly, and you'll learn your business really quick because you're forced to. The fifth thing is that I want to share with you that's kept me in the long term, I think, is just being aware of my self-talk. How many of y'all have conversations with yourself? Y'all know you all do. I think the average woman speaks like 20,000 words a day. But we have 45,000 thoughts each day. And so, you know, some might be really harmless, like, where to leave my keys, you know, what time am I supposed to do this, you know. but others may not be quite so harmless, you know. And regardless, they're very powerful, those messages that we tell ourselves. Proverbs 23:7, it says, "For as he thinks within himself, so is he." In Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And the writer in Proverbs tells us that the words of the wise are persuasive, and that our words can be life-giving water, and wise speech is rarer than gold and rubies. So your words, what you've been telling yourself, whether it's a truth or a lie, have an impact on your soul, and they're going to influence your actions and how you influence other people. And particularly, guys, your children. That's so important. You know, what you put in is going to go out. I mean, because, you know, typically, generationally, our kids do twice as bad as we do. You know, I mean, if we're doing something wrong, they're going to do it doubly worse, you know, than we are. So we've got to really work on being better so that our children are going to be better. Because, you know what? You influence a lot of people at your shows. But the impact that you have on your family and how many thousands of people they're going to influence is incredible. And if you can see your life and your ministry, you know, to your children, you know, if you can grow personally, not only professionally in your business and help, you know, your family, but if you can see the impact that you're going to have on so many people. You know, the average person knows 300 people. So everybody you know knows 300 people. And so you think about how all that spins off. You know, how many people you can impact. You've got to be aware of what you're telling yourself. And this was Jennifer Rothschild. She was our guest speaker at Rally last year, and I knew her as a college student in West Palm Beach. And this is a great book. If you have issues there, which we probably all do, or if you know somebody, this is a great book. I actually have a mother and daughter right now that are doing this Bible, kind of like a Bible study together. It's a little book study. They're a mother and daughter tour team. And so they just had a whole history of not, you know, being negative. And so, and a lot of things that we listen to are very negative. So self-talk, soul talk. I strongly encourage you to order it and get it. And she has another. There's another book that's actually a Bible study, but this will really, really help you. I've learned that my conversations can either be the truth or a lie. And truth is gracious, it's powerful and kind, it's not harsh and condemning. And if you're having those messages in your head, I'm not going to do this, I can't do that, well, she wouldn't do this if I called her, that's really the enemy that's talking to you. And you cannot listen to that. You've got to stop it and change the message that you're sharing, you're telling yourself. And I change it with the truth of God's word, you know, and read what he says is true about who you are. So I encourage you, you know, I think those are probably some of the things that have really helped me stay in long term as far as just my belief system and my practices and what has helped me personally grow. Now, the other thing that's helped me stay in, obviously, I've moved 5 times, is learning how to lifestyle this business. Y'all are wondering, do y'all have your business set in a compartment, or are y'all pretty good at lifestyle? I know Danielle had to learn how to lifestyle because she sponsored 7-11 people the first year you were here, right? That's pretty incredible. Are y'all comfortable with that?
What does that look like exactly?
Well, it's looking at every opportunity that you're currently in, whether it's babies or grown children, like we have, you know, that you can work your business. And so, just so you know, you're premier everywhere you go. You're premier at your home shows, yes. But you're also premier at the grocery store. You're premier at the park. You're premier at church, you know, because that's what people associate you with. That's your job, you know. I mean, it's just like Dr. Dave back here. I mean, like they associate him with the doctor, right? You know, or if you're the mom of a child, that's what they associate with you. You know, but you're premier everywhere you go, so you're not just premier at a show. Does that make sense? So, you know, how can you be that, and you're also premier when you're behind closed doors at home? You know, how you treat your family is going to determine whether they love premier or not, and they encourage you now. So, you know, that's real important too. But everywhere you go, you're saying something about your business in every situation. So, I don't have a marker board here, but I'm just going to kind of give you a little scenario. I want y'all to write a goal post. I want you to draw a goal post on your sheet of paper, okay? You got knock it out. Oh, that's right. Okay, so on one end, write your date of birth. Pick the last day of your life if you could.
How old would you be?
Yeah. Turn somebody today passed away is 101. Okay, now pick where you are on that timeline. You know, 30 years old, wherever that would be. You pick your retirement date on that timeline. That's the day you control your money. It doesn't control you. I think I'll put this one up. It's fun. It's a fun business. So you want to do it. Have some jewelry too. We really do. Okay, now how much time is left? Now, okay, just so you know, you're going to spend 6 to 7 years in traffic. Okay, a third of your life you're going to be asleep, and you're going to spend 8 years in the grocery store. All right. So, how much time is left to do what you want to do? The point is that discretionary time is very important, and how you use it is going to determine how you succeed. So you've got to look for little nooks and crannies to work your business in your life. And a lot of times we think, oh, well, when this happens, when that happens, well, it may never happen. And if it does, then you're going to have another excuse why not to work your business or do what you want to do, you know, when that happens. So this is the time to build. Man, you guys are young, you know. I mean, your kids are young. They're home. I mean, you can use those opportunities that you have to interact with other people that have kids your age to build your business, you know, because you are not going to have that. I'm not with young moms like I used to be when my daughter was younger. You know, we're not in school where I'm going and picking her up and going to events and things like that. I mean, she's 3.5 hours away. So, y'all, you have people that you're never going to see again, so you've got to use those opportunities to share your business. You know, I realized moving so much, I didn't have a whole lot of time to waste. I had to get right on it to get my business rolling again, and I had to happen. And it forced me into a lifestyle business instead of just starting with people that I knew. I was pretty insecure and intimidated when I first started the business. But I didn't want to stay that way, so this is what I learned. Number one, you can share your business with everyone. You know, the secret is, I'm just going to tell you, not everyone's going to say yes. And in Premier, you're going to have to see yourself as the CEO, the CFO, you're advertising, you are also the janitor, you are marketing. You've got to do it all, and you've got to be flexible, but that's where the rewards come. There's no shortcuts, and there's no excuses, and there's no trophies for trying. There really isn't. There's lots of rewards. You know, and your job is not to convince anybody. Your job is just to share the information. I know, I don't know if y'all have heard of Richard and Diane Breakstone, but they're both executive directors and platinum executive directors in Memphis. And I remember one thing that Richard said that was so freeing to me is you're not responsible for signing people up, you're just responsible for sharing the information. And that freaked me out because I wasn't trying to convince people all the time. But if I got the information out there enough people would eventually sign up. So, you've got to engage other people, you've got to open your mouth, but in order to do that, you've got to make sure, number one, you've got to make a good first impression. What's your first impression? If I hadn't brushed my hair this morning, and I didn't have any makeup on, would you come to me for fashion advice? Probably not. What is your appearance saying about you? Do you care? Are you credible? Are you a fashion resource? Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a fashionista, and fashion isn't size either. But you do have to have some credibility. We have so much training that you can just take from and just share it at your shows. You're going to be the expert. You already are. You know so much more than probably the ladies that come to your shows do. So the second thing you've got to do, you've got to connect with other people, and not just an appearance. We all have a need to belong, to be accepted, and to be recognized. And y'all can all do that. You can recognize the guests that come to your shows. You can, you can connect with them on some level. You can find something that you have in common with them. You know, Joan Horner was our co-founder that passed away 3.5 years ago. And she was a game changer because she knew how to connect with everyone. She connected with everybody, and she made you feel like you were the only person she was talking to. And so you have that ability to be the game changer in other people's lives. And, you know, if you're not really sure how to do that, I mean, just start talking to them about them, who they are, what they like, what they do, and it'll pay off. The second thing is lifestyle booking and sponsoring can be a vital part of your business and should be an extension of what you do every day. As I said a little bit earlier, you know, all my first level designers that I have now are a result of lifestyle contacts that I initiated. I had this girl in my Sunday school class, and she kept saying, someday I'm going to do premiere, someday. And I would just keep calling. You know, you just keep calling until people say no. Just because they don't return your phone call. I will tell you this, it is not their job to call you. That is not their job. I don't care if you left 10 messages. They really have the intention of calling you back. They just haven't, because that's not their job. That's our job. If you wait for them to call you back, you'll never get a call back. You know, we all have the best intentions, but that's not their job. It's my job to make a phone call. So you've got to keep following up. I frequently called her, and one day she said she was ready. You know, and every time her name came to mind, I would call her. So if somebody's name is dropped into your, you need to call them immediately. I need to pick the phone up and call them. But you know what? I'll stick about you. You know, I still think he'd be great at Premiere. You know, maybe she just needs that. You might be somebody that makes a decision quickly, and you may be somebody that takes a little bit longer time. But you know what? If we're not calling and staying in touch with people, we're going to miss opportunities. So it should be an extension of everything you do. One time I moved to Raleigh, and I was told we were a booking necklace. Yeah, that's such an old term. Y'all know what a booking necklace is? Okay. It's a statement necklace, yes. But we called it a booking necklace then. And so we had this necklace. It's kind of like rounded out now, and it was gold. It kind of looked like So anyway, and I knew to wear a solid top and walk through the department store, and this lady said, "It was working. I love your makeup. I'll tell you how you can get it free." And she goes, "Oh, really?" So we start talking. We make some small talk. She agrees to meet me. We do a one-on-one. And she goes, "Well, let me talk to my husband about it." And I couldn't get a hold of her. I'd give her a video, a VHS. Okay, and so she, y'all know what that is? Okay, so she just disappeared. I mean, her phone was disconnected, all this stuff, you know. I was like, okay, whatever. And so, you know, another one bites the dust, and we just move on. And so then we were making another intentional contact with the waitress, because she'd been such a great waitress for us, and she had shoulder duster earrings. Down her shoulder duster earrings are. They were the long earrings that shoulders, and they call them shoulder dusters, okay? And we're like, right, that's like jewelry, you've got those great earrings on. And we're so impressed with your service, we need to tell you about our business, because you'd be great at what we do. And so anyway, it led to, I think my sister's going to do something like that. I go, well, who's your sister? I want to see if it's Premiere. She gives me this thing. I go, let me have her phone number, and I'll just call her and see if it's Premiere. And it's that girl that I had talked to 2 years ago. Wow. She just moved back from Japan. They've been living in Japan. And so I called her up. I go, Tammy, this is Dana Reed at the time. I said, this is Dana Reed. And she was like, oh my gosh, I just moved back from Japan. I still have your video, and I'm so sorry. She was going to go with another company, another jewelry company. And I said, well, you know what? I really just want to tell you about Premiere, so you can make an informed decision. And I use that a lot. I'd love just to tell you about how it works so you can make an informed decision. If you decide to do something else, that's okay, but at least you've got all the information. And they're okay with that. And so we had dinner with them, and she signed up in Premiere. And she did quite well. So, you know, so that was another one. You just never know. Another one was a neighbor of mine that lived in Florida. And she signed up 4 years later, and then moved to Illinois, and then I started a whole downline in Illinois because of that. You know, so you just never know. I love the fact that we don't have a territory. That's great for us. Ron's brother. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe this. He doesn't like to talk to anybody.
Very true.
He's a brilliant individual, but he just sort of likes to stay. You know, he lives with his dad, and they just go to eat, and they do things, and you know, anyway. But he just really doesn't like to talk to strangers. Well, he had this great waitress one night at steakhouse.
What was they, a Longhorn or
Yeah,
something?
some
Yeah.
of the steakhouse, and he just said, "Yeah, you're such a great waitress. You need to hear what my sister-in-law does." I could not believe he shared my business with her.
He
You
sure
know,
did. We
So-
about fell over.
I know. And he goes, "I've got her name and her address and her phone number here for you, you know." And so I met with her, and she was a really sharp gal. She was a college student, playing her way through college and looking at different opportunities and loves jewelry. So you never know. And then Ron has been telling this guy about Premier. He tells people about Premier all the time. He's been telling this guy about it. The guy never mentioned it to his wife. We had never met the wife. And one day Ron gets a call, and they go, "What's that Draper number?" Because they just come out with a conference call number where they share the OP. And I gave it to him. I go, "Why?" Because my friend wants to share it with his wife. And one day in the car, she just goes, "I'm going to start selling Arbonne again." He goes, "Oh no, you need to sell that Christian jewelry that my friend sells." She's like, "Christian jewelry? What Christian jewelry do you have?" And so they listened to the call in the car, and then she wanted to meet me the next day to check me out. Checked her out. She checked me out. I took her some jewelry. She signed up that day, you know. And so it's just because Ron was consistent, and it was 6 months later. I said, "Did he never tell you about Premier?" "No, he never told me about Premier until I was ready to go and do something else, you know." So that's the other reason why you've got to tell people they may not be thinking about it right now, but when that opportunity comes up, at least they've got something to compare it to, you know, when they're trying to make that decision. So, you know, there are all kinds of people out there, and you've just got to continually share it, and you've got to follow up. That's the key, because it's all in the follow up. All right, who can you contact? Well, I would start with your circle of influence, your warm market, people you know who know you best. And I don't know if y'all send out letters to people that you know, telling them that you're starting a business. That's a great. Yes, guys, you need to do that. Don't be timid about it. Share it with people. You know, you just never know who's going to say yes. You know, but at least give them the opportunity to say no. Like, you're not even giving them a chance if you don't tell people what you do. You know, just go. I mean, I kind of had to psych myself out and go, well, just at least give them the opportunity to say no. So everybody needs to know what you do, and then just ask them permission to share, you know, what you do. If it's people, you know, like family or whatever. I mean, I've had, and my whole family's been in, okay? My whole family's been in, and they've all gotten out. But that's well, no one's back in now. Now that I think about it, but I have tons of cousins. All my brothers have been in. I have 3 brothers, okay? Every one of them have been in. My parents have been in. And it was met needs at certain times, you know, and it's for some people, it's not for everybody, you know, sometimes they get in for a short time. I've had cousins get in. And I had a cousin that watched me for 8 years. See, I had talked to her about the business, and I didn't know that she would eventually get in, but the need arose, you know, and so she got in. But you never know who's watching you, so you've got to stay really positive about your business. And I know there's somewhere down here, but if you're complaining about going to shows, or complaining about doing replacement exchanges, or complaining about going to training, they are not going to want to do what you do, you know. So be optimistic, and you know, because see, they don't see the whole side of the business. You see the good side, and you see the 2% replacement exchanges. They're not seeing that. They're only seeing what you're complaining about. Does that make sense? So you have to be really careful to guard, you know, what you talk about. I am thrilled to do a replacement exchange. In fact, that's one reason I do the customer care calls, is to make sure that I can, you know, offset that and save people money, you know, so they don't have to do that replacement if they have a problem. And so I called this lady this week, and I was checking on her jewelry. Oh, I'm so glad you called. I said, how's your jewelry? It's good. I just noticed the inside of my ring was turned up. I can save you $5. I can replace that, and no problem today. She's like, oh, you can? Thank you so much. And I want to have a show, you know. And so, you know, they're not going to offset that, but you're going to have opportunities if you did make that one. She would have never called me. I don't think she would have ever called me, because she wouldn't have wanted to complain about the jewelry, and she wouldn't, you know. And then I would have totally missed an opportunity to do a show for her. So, okay, let's see. If you plant seeds and you care for them, you'll reap a harvest, but not always where you planted it. So you never know where that seed's going to fall, and but you just have to be faithful to the process. Don't let your personal belief system get in the way of your success in doing this business. And a lot of times we have a tendency to prejudge. You can't prejudge in this because you just never know. A lot of times you won't call your warm market, right? Because you think you know what they're going to say, but you really don't know. And so it keeps you from reaching out and working with the people who know you best, who really probably admire you more than you give them credit. A lot of times we personalize someone else's response instead of realizing they're responding to an external offer. It's not about you. They're not saying no to you because they don't like you, because they don't trust you. They're just saying no because they don't have enough information to say yes. Or maybe there's some other factors there. Your motivation in making this work has to be greater than the obstacles. Okay? What looks like a sea of rejection, and y'all, we all get it. Does anybody like rejection here? Okay, it's not personal. It really isn't. It really, really, really isn't. And if it is, it's because they have issues within themselves. Okay? That really, the pods of understanding come one-on-one, and that's why we're a personal business. You know, that's why that one-on-one time is so important. And I was sharing earlier with Natalie how important hostess coaching is, and that one-on-one time. And that helps overcome a lot of objections. But I'm telling you guys, I will not do a show unless I can hostess coach. Because I'd rather do 4 shows that I can hostess coach instead of 8 shows that I can't hostess coach, and hope that they turn out okay. Because if I can hostess coach and I can guide that hostess in having a great show for not only me, but for her, so that she can get lots of free jewelry. And it's a give and take time. We're not just telling them what to do, we're engaging them. You know, we're building that relationship, we're building that friendship. And the other thing though, number one thing that it probably does for you is it gives you the opportunity to share the business. And if you go to rally and you go, how many of you all that in that convention center were hostesses before you were jewelers? About 75 to 80% of those people are going to raise their hands. So if we're not sharing with our hostesses, we're missing a whole group of people. So hostess coaching is critical, 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 critical. And have any of y'all done shows in groups? Like you start having followers, okay? We're not a cult, but you know, so you start having followers that go to show to show to show to show. And sometimes they start, you know, like they start inviting just the people from church or just the people from the neighborhood, the same people over. That's your chance to change that dynamic for not only for your hostess, but for you. You know, I go, hey, it is great to invite those people. They've been to 10 shows already, and I want them to come and I want to see them again. It's not really fair to them, so let's think of other people that we can invite. Here's ways that you get the advanced orders. You're not going to get the advanced orders unless you teach them how to get the advanced orders. And, you know, you ask them about, you engage them by asking them questions. Who could you show the catalog to? You know, who do you know that likes jewelry? Who do you know that works with your husband? Who do you know at your old job? You know, it's just helping them think outside the box because they're not going to think that way because they've got so much that they're thinking about that's taking up a lot of brain space. And so you're going to need to help them with that. So anyway, that's the one-on-one business. I'm just going back to the what you believe in and the middle part of all of this. You know, many of you are familiar with David and Goliath, right? You know, they took the 5 stones and he was the only one brave enough to fight the giant. No armor, he brought the giant down, right? Everyone has a mental Goliath between the 6 inches of their ears. And either you're going to get it or it will get you. And so that's pretty much what you're battling, is your mind. It's not the people, it's not rejection, it's you. And so you have to figure out, how am I going to overcome it to make this business work? Somebody is always going to say you can't. There's not always going to be those people that say you can't, you know. And you can't listen to that voice, and don't be the reason you can't, but be the reason you can't. Just go, I can't. You've got to speak it because it makes a big difference, and it'll affect you and how you walk this out. Why would you want to share with your warm market? Well, whether you know it or not, you have instant credibility with that warm market. And, you know, a lot of times people compartmentalize their business. They're just going to do their business here, and they're not going to tell anybody else. And I mean, I just had a recent jeweler. I mean, she is going like gangbusters. And you know what? Her friend who started the business did not invite her to her training show and did not tell her about the business. She had to pull it out of her, you know. And so, you know, you can't decide who would be good and who wouldn't. I know the people that actually sponsored me are not in the business anymore. They were only in for 1 year. And I went to graduate school with him, and so went back to Texas for a visit, and she's not even working. She's a teacher, and she's wearing all this gorgeous jewelry. What are they doing? It's his mom. His mom was always spoiling them. And I'm this, you know, and finally I drug it out of them. They were hiding their jewelry underneath their bed, and they were hardly doing anything with it. You know, like your apartment looks great. I know y'all are kind of in the same situation we're in. You're wearing all this great jewelry. What are you doing? And they finally pulled it out. They were afraid to share it with me, you know, because of what I would think. Well, I was like, hey, I'm all over this. You know, sign me up. Let's get going. So, anyway, don't just count people in your church. Greta Bose is a 6 diamond in my downline, and she was sponsored through friends in her church. And, you know, I think if you're sincere people are not going to be offended if you just want to share it with them. Hey, and you might do it this way. Hey, you might know somebody who needs something like this. Can I share with you what I'm doing, you know, so that you can share it with other people? You know, take that backdoor approach. That's what Randy Draper did with Greg Terrell, and Greg Terrell ended up signing up. Yeah, I know you don't need this, but you might know someone. So it's very important that you share with people you know. Let's see. I would encourage you need to make a list of your family, cousins, lifelong cousins, friends, co-workers, neighbors, spouses, co-workers, parents of children's friends, your CPA. Ron got our financial planner to let me speak to 30 female clients of hers. You know, you just never know who's going to open the door for you to share your jewelry or share your business. What about your hairdresser? How many of you have told your hairdresser what you're doing? Okay, good. All right. If they're not letting you come in and finish, you might need to change hairdressers. I set up at 2 of my hairdresser salons, and they were both high-end salons. And you know, I think if you're giving your business to somebody, they should be willing to listen to you too. Some other places in our warm market are our doctors. Ron set up a show with me with his doctor. I'd never even been in there and didn't know them. He set one up with his dentist. It wasn't my dentist because we actually lived in 2 states for a while we were married. I set up at my orthodontist. I set up at my doctor's like 4 or 5 times. And the way I approach it is, I just go, you know, kind of after our little visit, I go, do you like drag reps bring in lunch? And they go, yeah. And I go, why don't you let me bring in my jewelry during lunch one day? Because they're always closed for an hour and a half. I think, okay, go set it up with the front desk. That's it. And it works. So, you know, if you have not approached those people yet, I encourage you to do that. Ron went to a specialist, and it was a female doctor. What was it? What, the neurologist?
Yeah, well, they were shocking me.
Yeah, they were shocking, the neurologist. And so he goes, oh, there's a lot of ladies that work here. And she says, well, do they like jewelry? My wife sells jewelry. Y'all let her bring it in. And get stuff. Oh, that would be great. You know, so, I mean, you just never know. If you don't ask, you'll never get a yes, okay? We actually have 2, I don't know if you know this or not, 2 executive directors whose husbands were dentists. And they both retired because they were able to do that because their wives made so much money. They both sold their businesses, and you know, I mean, they're kind of doing other things now, but they were able to cut down the amount of hours they worked and eventually just sell the business. What about fundraisers? Have y'all done fundraisers? You need to make, you know, I mean, and it doesn't have to be the American Red Cross. It can be a senior that's going to go on a senior trip, you know, that you could help raise funds for. So, you know, put that out there. Mission trips. You know, people are always trying to raise money for mission trips. You can do that. You've got the ability to do that. I had one of my jewelers who, she went to some girls in her church at around Christmas time. It was a couple months before Christmas time. And she did a show, and she said, you know, y'all can take the catalogs and get orders, and I'll pay you 25%. This is a way that you can raise some money for the holidays. And so, one 15-year-old girl went and sold $2,000. you know, and this is a little town in North Carolina, you know, they don't have a lot of opportunities to make money. Don't you think they would jump on it? So she had, I think she had 5 or 6 girls, and they sold $4,900. She got 25%. You still make 25%. That's still really good. So think outside the box a little bit on how you can share and do this business. What are some other ways, places you can share your business outside of your little market? Well, I set up an American Airlines. Would you think that American Airlines would ever let you set up? A lot of companies have vendor events. And so when I moved to Raleigh, that was another way I spread my business, was I heard about a vendor opportunity. I had to pay $50 or maybe $75 at the time, but it got me in there. And the thing about it is when you go do an vendor event, you've got to engage the people that come to your table. You've got to have a reason why they're going to come to your table. It's going to be a drawing, but you've got to start interacting with them. You can't just stand back there. I mean, I've done it for preschools. I've done it for businesses. I've done, Ron works at a building like a convention center, and there's all kinds of conventions that come in there, you know, and if you need leads, you can go and you can pay a fee, you know, and you might want to split it with some other people. There's some that are real expensive, you know, you've got to kind of count the cost, but you gather names because you're doing a drawing, and then you've got to follow up, and you've got to make a lot of phone calls. I remember I didn't know anybody in the Raleigh area, and I did that vendor event, and I mean, I just sat on the phone. Hey, I was there, I was working with jewelry, you know, and I mean, I had to go through the whole thing, and it kind of takes you a little bit longer to build that rapport with them, but if you don't do it, you're not going to have those leads. So it just sent me all over the Raleigh area, you know, I was able to do shows, and people will book shows with you on the phone, you know, and I mean, it's good if you could engage them and get them to sign up to do a show at the event, but you can't always do that. Gosh, I've done so many vendor events. I can't even. It's a great way to really spread what you're doing. How many of you would go downtown and set up at the largest bank building? I don't know what's downtown. Huh? Regents. Okay. Well, I set up at the downtown Nashville Regents Bank building in the atrium. They invited me in, and I was able to sit there. Well, I had all this traffic, 40 stories, okay, in that one building, and then there's just tons of traffic coming through. And a lot of people know about Premier, but maybe they haven't seen it in about 10 years, and so they're so glad to find another rep that does it. But you just never know. I had to pay 10% back to the building, and it went to Second Harvest Food Bank. Well, so there's a lot of ways that, you know, buildings like that will let you come in. But the best way to find those contacts is to talk to people you know that are in places of influence. Hey, did your building ever let anybody come in and set up? I had met the girl who led me to that at a horse show. That my daughter and I rode horses, and she was in her little horse camp, and we were doing the last day, and we're leaning over her tent, and I asked the lady, I said, which one's your daughter? The blonde. Which one's your daughter? I'm the redhead. What do you do? I'm an attorney. What do you do? I have a jewelry business. Where's your store? I mean, you know, the reaction to jewelry is so much more exciting than even, you know, I mean, I can go, where's your office? You know, what kind of attorney are you? I mean, I didn't get excited about that, you know. And I said, well, I sell out of my heart. Premier Designs, ever heard of it? No, but you need to come set up in our building. And she gives me her card, writes all the information down. God, she was an attorney at Bass, Berry & Sims, which has a huge presence in Memphis and a huge presence in Nashville. They have over 400 attorneys. So she got me in the building, okay? Then I got to the offices, 8 floors. And so I sponsored, and I put shows in there. And you know, I've been doing this for 60-something years, and I still go back. And then they built a new building, and it's the Pinnacle Building if you ever go downtown Nashville. Beautiful building. At first they said, oh no, we're not going to let anybody come in. That didn't last very long. I'm back in there doing shows for them, you know, and so, you know, it's just so many opportunities that you have for those of you that want to do some daytime retail, you know, but you've just got to talk to people. And when I talked to that attorney, her husband was standing next to her, and he goes, oh, he goes, I run the Nashville Convention Center. Would you come there? We have 10,000 people coming up. I was like, oh no, that's like way over, you know, that's a lot of people, you know. And so I didn't really take him up on his offer, you know, but I was willing to go into the offices. So I just look for opportunities. You all know people of influence somewhere. Just ask. if you can do it, you know? And maybe give them a percentage back. He's going to give you lots of contacts, and then you can go into more miles. So that's working your business into your life, you know, setting up that show. And again, like I said, well, my daughter's 19, she was 7 at the time. So I've been even doing shows longer than that. So, all right, let's see. Next, the fourth thing, and then we're about to close out here. Fourth, you got to make the calls. You know, you got to call the people. You got to follow up. One of my 4 diamond designers says, I'm expanding my business in this area and working for distributors. Is that hard to do? Can I tell you what I do? Are y'all looking for people in this area? That's a true statement. You know, it's just a nice way to say, hey, we're looking for distributors in this area. So we're expanding our business. A mentor of mine once said, sales is not a place to get your emotional needs met, it's a place to get your financial needs met. Your job is to go to the bank. Money is a geography problem. Either they have it or you have it. Who would you rather have it? You. Okay. Your purpose should be able to help others get what they want and need. And if you put your focus on others and make your lifestyle about sharing with others, it will become easier. Okay? Don't compartmentalize your business. You just don't say, hey, if this isn't for you, that's okay. I mean, even if it's the show that you're asking for. And he also said this, don't let your ego get in the way of your pocketbook. So, and don't worry about what people are thinking about you, because you know what I found? People aren't thinking about you near as much as you think they are. They're thinking about themselves. They're worried about what everybody's thinking about me, so they're not thinking about you. So really, they're not really worried about you, and they're not thinking about you, you know, as much as you think they are. So. And if you're worried about being pushy, then that's a good sign that you're probably not pushy. Okay? So, but you can't be apologetic in this business either. You know, actually, Dr. Cloud, I love it. I'm on an email thing with him on Facebook, and he said, you know, you have to be confident and say powerful is not the right word, but you've got to be confident and know what you know, but you've got to be vulnerable too. You can't be so strong and have the walls up and nobody can talk to you, you've got to be kind of that bridge between the two, but you've got to be confident. You can't be like, oh, okay, you've got to take it a next step with people, because you just never know what you can do for them. But if it's all about you, it's going to be hard for you to find them, how you can help them meet their needs. So I encourage you to open up and be excited about what you're doing and share it everywhere you go. I even went to the extent of my dad would go to High Point every year, and that's where the furniture market is. And I never met this guy, but he would rent his townhouse because there's not enough hotels there. People rent their houses out in their townhouses. And I just called the guy up and I said, Brad, you don't know me, but I'm Ralph Skinner's daughter, and I know you're a realtor. He owned a big real estate company in High Point. I said, no, you don't know me, and this is who I am. I know you own a real estate company there, and I would love to tell you what I do. Could I kind of share that with you? He said, sure. Well, he kind of owed me. Because my dad had spent so much money renting his townhouse from him, every year. And so, y'all all know people, that you could call and share your business with. And he was very open and willing to share the business with other people. So that's the way business people work. They do networking, and that's basically all that is networking. So you use your influence and use the opportunities that you have. Anybody that's involved in community, maybe community affairs, local government, the symphony, art, battered women's shelters, any charitable organization. Y'all, right now you can donate your retired jewelry to those organizations and be a blessing to somebody. They can use them inside auctions, especially if it's pieces that, or you're trying to turn it over or whatever, and it's a great write-off. So use those opportunities and things that you have to help others. You need to always have a public service announcement when you're out and about. I teach ladies about fashion, we have fun, and I give it away free, So I'll make sure you always have a PSA. And make sure that when you're in public, your jewelry is noticeable and complements your clothes. So, and I think that's just kind of a follow-up of the first thing I said. I know it's about time for us to close up. There's women's conferences, church festivals, all kinds of things you can be a part of. I encourage you just to get out there and share wherever you can, and don't second guess yourself. You're just sharing something. You're not making anybody make a decision. And you can build a great business. So I hope that you gained something from this training today, and I hope you got some ideas, and I hope you started thinking of places that you could go, people you could call, and that you'll have a great summer and a better fall. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Did y'all get a lot of good information?
Yeah.
Got a lot of good notes. I know I did. Boys back there, y'all taking notes?
I am. Can I add just, I can't help it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add something here real quick.
Yeah.
Something that Dana said is just two key things that's so important. One is you've got to read. Have all of you heard of Cornell University? You know where it is, all right? Big prestigious school. Okay, I was just there for an executive symposium for the week. So this is free. It cost me $5,000. This is free. And this is what they said, though. They said, if you don't read one book to develop yourself each month, you're going to be left behind. And then the second thing they said from a marketing perspective and a branding, which you are a brand, is it's the enthusiasm is far greater than anything that you write or you show or you present. It's your enthusiasm that will take your business further than anything else on there. So I look for things that help me to be enthusiastic. And one of the areas that I look at that I'll throw out there too, you can, and you may be familiar with, it's called TED.com. It's an incredible web that has like 19-minute presentations, but it's all about the delivery. So I'm ordering their book. It's How to Present Like TED, and it's giving you the 9 true steps of how you can do it. But I really encourage you, because if you don't have that enthusiasm, I don't care what you have to offer, they're not interested. So really take that to heart. Read, develop yourself, and you've got to teach yourself how to be enthusiastic. It just doesn't come natural. You've got to develop yourself in being that way. And you got 2 fine individuals right here that can certainly teach that to you.
Thank you. That was good. Okay, does everybody have at least one ticket? Everybody? We need a ticket. We need a ticket. Okay. Y'all get one? Alright, write your name on the back of your ticket, and we are going to give away, I'm going to give away a pack. Y'all, I know people need more catalogs. You're about to be out of them. So I'm going to give away a pack of catalogs. What?
Does Abby have a ticket?
Oh, Abby.
Yes, you need a ticket.
Okay.
Everyone needs a ticket.
Okay, so y'all write your name on that, and
Tell me
they
where
will
you got
come around and
it. You got it?
get your tickets. You gotta do Shannon's. Shannon has a lot. I'm probably gonna have to mail this to Shannon. So I'm going to give away a pack of catalogs, and should you not win a pack and you really need a pack of catalogs, y'all can take a pack home for $3 each, okay? So y'all just, and I'll make sure you get it. Okay? Dave will come and get those. I'm just so thankful for Ron and Dana to be here tonight. Y'all just give them another big round of applause. And such a blessing to have them here with us tonight. We're gonna wrap up and do prayer requests, and we'll pray in just a minute. Let me get mine. While Dave's picking up your tickets, does anybody have a prayer request that we can pray for? Yes, ma'am, Holly.
I do. I started a career as a fundraiser for myself to go to India. So I have a large deadline coming up on Monday. So pray that I can submit and that I can hopefully host some shows very quickly. So,
Have you had a training show yet?
yes, I have a training and I have one show. So I have a few people that I can call, but
You've just been at a great training.
I did. Yes, thank you. I got lost in it.
This is awesome.
I
Thank you,
needed that really bad.
Yes. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I want to have some praise.
Yeah, Beth.
It's going better at my house.
Better in the baby world.
Yep.
Always positive. Are you getting more sleep?
More sleep, less screaming.
Good.
All around is good.
Oh, good. That's awesome. That is awesome. Anybody else?
I do.
Michelle?
Our church, they did a skin cancer screening a couple of weeks ago, and the dermatologist told me that I had a mole that I needed to get biopsied within a month. So I had that done last Wednesday, and when she saw it, I had a couple that were pretty dark. I don't know if that changed her perspective, but she said that it looked like there would probably be some atypical cells, but what we're hoping is that I get a letter, because that means, that everything's okay. But I should know something Wednesday or Thursday. Friday.
Alright, don't have to worry. By his stripes you are healed. Don't worry about anything. Anybody else? Alright, tell us who our winner is, Dave, and then we'll pray.
It's blank. That means Shannon Jones.
Are you on mute? You're on mute.
She's really excited.
She said give them to somebody.
Somebody else.
Give them to somebody else? Brooke, you need some more catalogs?
I do, but.
Alright! Shannon, so thoughtful. Extra points for you, y'all.
That's sweet. Was she on the conference call?
She was.
Okay.
She was. Okay, for those of you that are new to our training tonight, we always just stand and grab hands and stay in a big circle and pray together as a big family. So we're just going to do that again tonight.
Big circle this
So
time.
we're going to big circle, pray.
Amanda.
Got some candy. Okay, Dave, you want to close us in prayer tonight?
I would.
Thank you.
Lord Jesus, we just thank you so much for this group of people. I would say women, but we have some awesome guys here tonight. We just thank you for everyone to be able to come out. We pray for those who aren't here. We pray that you just bless them personally, spiritually, also in their business, Lord. We pray that everyone sees a time of growth or a time where they can learn and learn more about their business. We thank you for Dana and Ron. We pray for safe travels all the way back to Huntsville tonight. We pray for these prayer requests that we've lifted up tonight. We know that you are a healer and you are a comforter, Lord, and we pray for all those, especially those that have unspoken prayers that didn't bring those out tonight, Lord. We pray for everyone, and we pray that you bring them safe from here and bring them safely back next month. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome.
Amen. And if you're new and you don't know everybody here, like I know we've got a couple of new people, you can't go home until you make a new friend. Okay? So find somebody, figure out their name, how long they've been in Premiere, something funny and silly about them, then you can go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all are free to hang out.